First Light Coffee Whiskey is for those seeking adventure. They exist to provide the perfect spirit for celebrating life's best moments when and wherever they occur. Winners of half a dozen SIP awards, First Light's whiskey blends real coffee extract with American whiskey and organic agave. Head to firstlightwhiskey.com to find their original and dark roast whiskeys at your favorite beverage shops and cocktail purveyors. Shop now on firstlightwhiskey.com. Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Coffee People podcast presented by Roast West Coast. I'm Ryan Wolt, and this is the show where I bring you the inspiring entrepreneurial stories of coffee people. Thanks for joining me today on the very last episode of Season 7. Our show features Libby and Victor Arreguin, the founders and co-roasters of Romantics Coffee. They are a family roasting company that works in small batches that they make for dreamers and believers in San Diego, California. I emphasize the family part of that statement. In fact, you might hear their kids and the family dog in the background of this podcast. While you're listening today, go to romanticscoffee.com or follow at romanticscoffee on Instagram so you can better envision the old Hollywood vibe of the brand and maybe tempt yourself with one of their medium roasts. I know you're out there listening and you can probably multitask, so while you're doing that, I'm going to start the show. Thanks for joining me once again for another interview with some coffee people, Libby and Victor Arreguin of Romantics Coffee. I've got one more warning, which is we have a new puppy. And I'm distracting him with a bunch of peanut butter right now, but he may join us at some point.
No worries. You'll probably hear our dogs too, or kids.
No problem. Well, to the both of you, welcome to Coffee People from Roast West Coast. That's the first time I've said that. I'm wondering if you could do me a favor and just introduce yourself and the name of your company and maybe let us know how you guys met.
I'm Libby.
I'm Victor.
We are married and started Romantics Coffee and met about 16 years ago at work.
So you guys have been in it for a while. How long has coffee been something that you guys bonded over or did together?
It started with typical big box coffee dates, and he wasn't really a big coffee drinker. I brought more coffee into his life and then, started with the sugary drinks and moved into real coffee profiles.
There's a place for both. I'm drinking a fairly terrible decaf coffee right now that I found in the liquor cabinet because I thought I wanted to have a cup of coffee with you guys.
Nice.
Well, let's just start with some history about the two of you. I'm assuming you both have kind of a different story that kind of meshes together at some point. But I'm wondering if coffee was, besides these big box dates, was part of your life before? Kind of if you remember your first experience with coffee that made you think, this is pretty interesting, and maybe going beyond that big box coffee and into something different.
I'll go first because my story is probably a lot quicker than hers. So as far as coffee goes for me growing up, all the men in my family just drank black coffee, and it basically looked like motor oil. And it was always in the mornings and it was always a couple cups and they seemed to, move around and be pretty responsive. So I was like, man, that stuff must be pretty strong. So, I never asked. I just assumed. I really wasn't into coffee until I met her. She's right. Like, I didn't know what gourmet coffee was. To me, a good cup of coffee was just going down to 7-Eleven, getting a large coffee and put a couple creamers in it, and I'd call it good. She actually introduced me to like a mocha, like a real mocha, and we'd go get coffee together, but I would never get coffee. I would get a mocha. She kind of eased me into the coffee world. That's the long and short of it. And now I drink 2-3 cups a day. If I'm not drinking water, I'm usually drinking coffee. I'll I'll have a little juice during the day before I go to the gym, only for the carbs, But
Before you answer, Libby, Victor, I'll ask you, are there any moments where, because I have this little self-fulfilling here, where you think, man, I could go back in time and just really like that 7-Eleven coffee and my life would be easier?
So between you, me, and the wall, every once in a while I still go get 7-Eleven coffee.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
I don't think twice about it. Yeah, still good.
How about you, Libby?
So coffee was always a constant in my life. Growing up, we lived all over the world. My parents just always had the coffee pot on the stove, never moved. It was like 24/7. You want to sit down and have a conversation, we're going to have coffee. And they always invited me to join them. And it was a lot of milk and sugar, of course, in the beginning. But even with family at my grandparents' house, it was coffee with the adults. Everybody joined in. They let the kids join. We had coffee in our bottles a few times for my grandma. So it's almost like comfort food, but it's a comfort drink for me. It just, I don't know, it feels like coming home. Coffee feels like home.
Well, that's the youngest I've heard in the bottle, but I think there's a chance that my dad might have slipped some brandy in mine a few times.
Yeah.
So when I was being a little squirrely, just to make sure.
Yeah.
So I can't judge too much. At what point in your process and in your relationship did you think, man, this coffee thing is just something that we want to pursue even further? We're going to go beyond just going to get coffee and drinking it. We're going to start roasting coffee. We're going to start exploring this as a hobby or even more. When did that happen, and kind of what was the tipping point?
I want to say it was like 11 or 12 years ago. I started noticing these local roasters popping up everywhere. And I think the first time I realized it was closer, it was possible, was seeing the roaster in Cafe Moto. Just walking in, my eyes were huge and I couldn't go there without walking by the roaster just to peek and see what was going on. And then I think, I started an Instagram of just local roasters and popping into places. And that definitely opened our eyes more. From there, we both just started talking about what we would do, like how we could do our own spin on it. Started talking names, and it was fun at first, and then it got a little bit more serious. The kids started throwing out names for a coffee company. That kind of just sparked our interest. Once COVID hit, I was looking through Instagram probably, and I found the Coffee Collective, the roastery, and that was like, all right, it is possible. We went and did a tour and got some training, and it's been go, go, go since then. And, COVID gave us that time to actually pursue something on the side rather than driving 2-3 hours in traffic every day. That gave us a little free time before and after work.
What were you doing for work, or what industry were you in before that? I'm assuming you are also still working at some point. I think we emailed a little bit, and Romantics Coffee isn't your full-time job yet.
Correct.
But what were you doing, and how did that relate, if at all, into what you're doing now with coffee?
Absolutely no relation. We work in the corporate world and still grinding. Yeah, it's kind of like polar opposite.
Just another experience. Well, then let's go back to the coffee side of it. You discover Coffee Collective and you take a class, you learn a little bit about it. How long are you roasting before you start thinking, okay, not only is it possible for us to learn how to roast, but someone else might actually like to drink this? And I ask that because I tried to brew beer once and it did not go well. So what was your experience? Was it like that first roast was, oh, this is drinkable, we can move forward? Or, how long were you working on this before you felt confident in saying, here's something, world, what do you think?
We went through quite a bit.
Yeah, it was a lot of trial and error. I could see how some people could pick it up right away. That wasn't the case for us. And also, we didn't have egos going into it. I think we went to enough places. She would talk to enough people, and she was bouncing ideas off of people. We kind of did our due diligence before we went in. And on my end, it was definitely nerve wracking. When I go into doing something, I like to go into, I could get a little tedious. That's just me. I want to make sure if I do something, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it well, and I'll ask questions. So when we went, it was like getting something thrown new to you. It's you have somebody trying to help you, and we'd ask questions, but you'd forget right away as soon as you would ask the question. So then you're like, oh, screw it, I'm just gonna wing it, because you just gotta dive in, right? So I'd probably say we went roasting at least a good half a dozen times before it even tasted like coffee, right? Like it was just brown water, right? Like easily you'd spend an hour roasting, you'd come home with your sample bags, and it's just brown water, and you're like, there's nothing there. And I want to say probably like the sixth time you go to cup it, and you're like, whoa, that's something, and
then we were able to share with family.
It actually kind of looks, as I'm watching you, like you can kind of remember that emotion of, here's something I made and it actually kind of worked.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I remember like it was yesterday, right? And then now when we go roast, we're fairly confident.
We're still learning.
Yeah, we're still learning. By all means,
it's a science. I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned so far, is that it's actually a science. You don't just go in and yes, there's machines that will roast for you, and they have pre-programmed, but for the most part, you're running the show. It's time and heat, and there's different variables with the beans, and it's been fun to learn. But yeah, it's not easy, and that might be the fun part too.
Yeah.
There's a reason I don't do it, and it's because I did not do well in science growing up. My brain this is an English major brain. That's what this is. And I believe you are in the second year of this adventure.
Mm-hmm.
How do you compare your coffee from then to now? How has your process changed? In that time period, at some point you decided you felt comfortable enough not just to share, but to actually sell your coffee. What made you think that was reasonable, or was it more of a justification of the money you were spending at Coffee Collective?
Well, I think when we go roast, we went into it. We really didn't tell anybody that it was going to be a company where we were going to like actually go out and sell coffee. It was something that we told people it was a hobby, and we were like, "Hey, try this out. What do you think?" And people would try it, and they'd be like, "Oh, this was good," and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we did that." Or like, "Hey, we roasted this. Can you try it? It's free, but we just want your honest truth." And we asked a lot of people who we trust. Like for me, I wanted somebody to tell me how bad it tasted, right? Like I wanted just them to be brutally honest. We got the response we wanted. People were like, "Oh, it's too strong," or "I don't taste anything," or it's not. I like it as an espresso. I don't like it as a drip. Like we're getting all these different answers, and then we kind of nailed down our first, our signature roast, the Riches of the Poor. We kind of nailed it down, and we had a serious heart to heart, and we were like, "Hey, well, enough people have tried it. We're getting pretty consistent at it. Let's try to see if we could sell some." We went in and we roasted like 20 pounds. That first roast, as soon as we put it on the website, it sold out like in an hour. But that was like her mom, my mom. It was like our cousins. It was friends. They were like, "Oh well, that first round was just friends and family trying to support, right?" But what they didn't realize is that helped like recoup some of the expenses, right? So then we got to go out and roast again. That second time around, the friends and family that bought the first time that wanted to support, well, they were like, "Well, we did it for you the first time." So now we were like kind of on our own, and it was kind of just word of mouth after that. And we did well, and it actually sold out, and we roasted more than 20 pounds. I can't remember how many we did, but it sold out like in less than a week. Yeah. Then we kind of looked at each other like, "Whoa, it's pretty rad," like.
That was like the first year. That was like first year, friends and family. slow grind, as we could.
Yeah.
And then second year, it's been a slow progression. But, I have a hard time comparing because you see all the other local roasters and everybody's doing their own thing. So I have to stop and say, don't compare. I think it's slowly progressed really great for where we're at. We have some future goals, but year one was a lot of trial and error, learning, and family and friends carrying us through it. Year two, it's still exciting when we get an order from somebody neither of us know. And I'll ask them, like, do you know so-and-so? Because it's really awesome, and then they come back, and it's just, that's the payoff right there. It's people like it and they're coming back, and we don't know them. So
I think that feeling sticks with you. I don't know that it goes away if you're still excited about what you're doing. I still feel that way. And at this point, my friends and family are sick of me after years of different projects. So I know it's not from them, but when I see something new and something come in and I don't know how they connected to me in any way whatsoever, I'll often reach out and be like, hey, I just want to know, I'm super excited to see your name on this list, but who are you and where did you come from? And it's always exciting to hear that somewhere out in the world, somebody shared my stuff with them. And I think that's exciting. Let's talk about that. You have a website, your name, Romantics Coffee. I hope I'm saying that right or not skewing it a little bit. Where did the name come from and the branding come from? And you mentioned the name of that first kind of dialed in coffee, Riches of the Poor. What was the strategy for that? It sounds like, and I just I'll loop back a little bit to what you said earlier, but you might have had a name or some ideas for this before you were really even into it. So how did that get established? Where did that come from?
Yeah, like I said, we would throw out names all the time, just random text each other a name, and one would veto it, or we'd be sitting at dinner and throw out names and the kids would say, no, that sounds terrible. We've always been kind of cheesy romantics in our relationship, and I like the feeling of it, not the lovey-dovey hearts and cheesiness. I like the feeling where, romance is found in loss and pain and fear and adventure. I like the little, your heart skips a beat kind of feeling. And that's what I want people to get from our brand. It's not all, hearts and cheesy. And it can be sometimes, but I think we both kind of resonated with that. Same thing with our names. We want them to be reflective of the brand, but not carried overboard, and hoping to carry that through.
I was going to say that I don't see a lot of, I'm kind of scrolling through your social feed right now, actually, as we're talking, just kind of giving myself a reminder. I don't see a lot of hearts to begin with, but I feel a very classic old Hollywood vibe to it, even in the font that you chose.
Yeah.
With the cursive. So with that, you start this company, you're doing it on the side, you've got a family, you're obviously very busy. How does this fit into your life as a couple? I mean, how does working together with your spouse work for you? It seems like you have a pretty good vibe together, so I apologize if I'm imposing.
No. Yeah. Well, we met at work, but we've never worked together. So the company we work for has tons of office space. So we've never carpooled together. We've never worked together. He has many different hobbies as well. So this has been fun to have something together. We go roast. We sit in the car together for a long time, just the two of us, which has never happened that often before without kids in tow. So it's actually been a learning experience to work together, but it also comes natural. We have good communication. Yeah, no, it's been fun. It's been good.
I've worked with my spouse, my wife Trina. We actually met at work as well, but it was at Old Navy in 2001 maybe. So it's been a minute. We've since then worked several jobs together, and even now she helps me with things and we do events together and things. So I know there is a line between our work relationship and how we talk to each other about work and our personal relationship. And you've mentioned a few times that you have kids who have given you feedback and things. Without getting into the details of them, how do you see this as a family thing? Do you guys do events or together or pop-ups or anything like that?
Yeah, so we've had a couple pop-ups, and we have a teenage daughter, our oldest daughter, Veda. She's rad. She's just like a genuinely a rad kid, and she's really smart. She's probably a lot smarter than I was at that age, right? But she helps us out a ton, and it is all family. Like the first pop-up we had, like the most stressful one, my mother-in-law, her mom was in the back helping us wash dishes to keep everything clean, she was the grunt, and she helped us out, so it's big time family operation. And at this point I'd have it no other way. We're still small, hopefully the projection is to get a lot bigger, and we'd probably have to bring on an employee or two outside of the family, which is fine. But right now it's still just real family oriented. And, she's the boss, and I always make fun of her that she yells at me too much. But, the truth is she's never yelled at me once. We're married and we have kids, and we've been together a long time. But I think the most important thing, not to get cheesy, but she's my friend, right? Like she's my best friend first and foremost. She's my wife, but she's my best friend. She knows how to talk to me, and if she has to walk me off the ledge, she knows how, and vice versa. I know her. I know all her little ins and outs. So if she's going off in the left field somewhere, I know how to pull her back.
Mostly while we're roasting. Yeah. We'll have to talk each other. No, it's okay.
and like, let's be honest. I mean, when has yelling at anybody ever worked for anything, right? So like, why would I yell at her, and why would she yell at me, right? You get if you talk to somebody, you're going to get a lot further, and I'm naturally a quiet person, so I'm beside myself for even doing this, but yeah, communication is definitely key.
Yeah.
But
even the younger kids, we'll get them in there cupping.
Oh yeah, we have them try everything.
We've had them cupping before bedtime before, which is not the greatest parent moment, but they feel involved.
That is definitely, I almost just want to say courageous on your part.
I'm just hoping, it runs through their veins and we have baristas in our future.
Can I ask what you see the future as? I know you said growth, but does that mean growth online? Does that mean... And here we had a minor technical glitch. Hang on a second. Buttons, typing, editing, and back to the show. Well, I want to get kind of back to the coffee side of things. What is something you've learned about coffee in the last 2 years or running a business that maybe you learned the hard way, or you've learned through experience, or what has your feeling been about your putting your foot into this industry that is totally different from what you were doing before?
I think that just the roasting aspect has been a big learning curve, and like I said before, that the science behind it and learning how to adjust with different variables has been, for me, the biggest lesson that we're still learning with the business permits and getting all the correct licenses. It's, you read it all over the place that it's hard. Well, it is hard. And there's no clear handbook on what you need to do in a checklist. It's different for everybody. Mm-hmm. So I think that's been the biggest hurdle for me.
I know that for me, at least, there's different, when you say licensing out, that's always a challenge. I think California in particular is a challenge. It's a challenge. Mm-hmm. Even from neighborhood to neighborhood, the rules are different.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, at least on my end, I enjoy the roasting, I really like the challenge, and I'm always up to learning. We've talked to enough people that have been doing this, a really long time. They still learn new stuff all the time. This is one of those things where there's no end to it, right? I think one of the most difficult things on my end is just the business part of it, right? Like I feel really confident in our product that at least it tastes good, but it's going out there and marketing it and trying to get people just to give you a shot when there's so many other people out there. They could go down the street, and where we live, no one's doing what we're doing right now. And it's just easier for them to go to Starbucks, right? Like, so it's just hard, and that's the frustrating part for me. But I think it's just, you got to be patient. It's a slow game, and we're in it for the long run. So I think our time will come when enough people hear about it and try it, that it's going to be more fluid. The business side of it. That's probably the most difficult part.
Sure. And right before we had some technical difficulties, I was asking about the future and where you see that going. Is it staying e-commerce, or is there a future in a cafe or pop-ups? What is that, that pattern that you see laying up before you?
Definitely, this year we set some goals to have some consistent pop-ups. We want people to be able to expect and know when to find us. We started off the year rough with everybody getting sick and then emergency runs. So we're hoping to bounce back now and hit the ground running. Maybe coffee shop or consistent pop-up will happen sooner than later. It's in the works. So stay tuned. But definitely e-commerce for the time being. Yeah.
Well, what's the best way for people to support your e-commerce or to try you? And if it were me and I were to go online, what is the first thing you would want people to try that you think represents you, that you're selling?
Definitely our coffee, our cold brew that we actually, for local pickup, we'll do cold brew and cold brew lattes that are bottled. So if you're new to coffee or you still need some sugar, we have a great latte that we feel is great for beginners that want to get that first taste of, small batch roasted coffee, but still have that sugar kick. And then if you already know what you like, we have our roasts online. Yeah, we stand behind it. It's a strong, full body roast, and we roast what we like. We know that there's a lot of lighter roasts that are popular right now. So we're kind of trying to swim against the stream and kind of get that into people's homes.
I do have a lot of people ask me about when are dark roasts coming back, and I think that they're there. I think people are doing them. They're just not as celebrated in the moment, so you got to work a little harder to find them.
Yeah.
What did I not ask you about? What do you want people to know about what you're doing, if anything? And what did I miss?
I don't think you missed anything. We're putting our passion project out there, and we're hoping that people enjoy it as much as we do and see that, romance isn't just lovey-dovey. Romance is a feeling. It's that little flutter that you get when you're excited. And we want our coffee to get everybody excited too.
Last question then, before we get going today, is when you go out and you're stopping at a coffee shop, what do you order for yourself?
I always do a cortado and Americano. I'll double fist to try both at every location.
Yeah, I'm just a cold brew or iced coffee guy, so I can drink it when it's snowing outside or when it's 100 degrees. It doesn't matter. So it's usually going to be an iced coffee or a cold brew. I still do like my mochas, so I'll try a mocha. And then really just whatever the house special is as far as a drip coffee. I'll try that too.
Well, I would say that you've said this kind of term a few times about how you want the flutter of emotion of the heartbeat, being romantic. And when I have enough coffees, that's how my heart feels as well. So I think you've got some good branding in the works.
The good kind, though, right?
That's not afibrillation, is it, bro? Come on.
As long as I don't go to the doctor, I'll never know.
Yeah.
It's been really lovely just meeting you and chatting with you. I want to thank you for spending some time being on the show and for taking the risk to put something that you're doing out in the world. And that's always a vulnerable place to be, no matter what it is.
Thanks for having us. You're our first podcast, so excuse all the ums, and we're really grateful for you reaching out to us, too.
Okay, to recap, it's Libby and Victor and their kids and their dogs and their jobs and roasting coffee and starting a business. It's chaos, and the way we all experience chaos, topped with the demands heaped upon entrepreneurs. I know, being an entrepreneur, starting a business, it's a choice. And I chose this life, and Libby and Victor chose to start Romantics Coffee. But that doesn't mean it isn't hard sometimes, and that it doesn't take a little life juggling. All of that effort makes the victories, the sales to strangers, the realization that something tastes better than brown water, a little bit sweeter. And I'll add, I screwed up 3 cups of coffee today alone. I actually dumped the first batch I brewed. I drank the second and third, and they were fine. And fine was okay today. Mistakes in coffee are part of the process. Libby and Victor roasted a half a dozen times or more before their roasts even tasted like coffee to them. But they kept practicing, and driving to the roastery, and roasting more beans, until they felt they had something they could share with the world. And then they got feedback, and asked people they trusted, and got more feedback, and kept practicing. And finally, they were ready to launch Romantics Coffee. I found it interesting that Libby and Victor had very different first coffee experiences. Libby's family used it as a way to connect or facilitate communication. I love that aspect of coffee. For her, coffee feels like home. Victor's family approached it more for the boost, for the daily routine. Think back beyond the first cups you drank. What are your first memories of coffee in your life? Were you exposed to motor oil coffee like Victor, or your family drinking coffee together over the kitchen table like Libby? Or were you exposed to craft coffee, or in my case, it wasn't coffee at all? My first exposure came in the form of a coffee-flavored hard candy that I definitely thought was going to be caramel. I hated it so much that I didn't taste so much as a sip of coffee for the next 2 decades. Finally today, the payoff for Romantics Coffee isn't when someone tries it for the first time, or even when Libby and Victor see an order come in for a bag. It's when they come back for more. Those of you listening might be one of those people providing that payoff someday. You can get your start by heading to romanticscoffee.com. And you can follow their company, and in some cases family, journey on Instagram, @romanticscoffee. As always, I'll also include those links in this show's podcast notes and in the newsletter on roastwestcoast.com. If you already subscribe, you'll be able to find those links in your email inbox. roastwestcoast.com is also where you'll find the brand new Coffee Smarter Education podcast. I just got the stickers today. That's where you'll learn the ins and outs of making a better cup of coffee at home. Find the Coffee Smarter thread on roastwestcoast.com or search for Coffee Smarter on your favorite podcast platform. It's a platform I'm grateful to have, and this show doesn't get made without some incredible industry partners that include Café Laterre, Moster Coffee Company, Steady State Coffee Roasting, Camp Coffee Company, Coffee Cycle Roasting, Ignite Coffee Company, Maria Coffee, Cape Horn Coffee Importers, Zumbar Coffee and Tea, Ascend Coffee Roasters, and San Franciscan Roaster Company. A giant thank you to our partners and to you for listening and supporting this show. I'm looking forward to getting started on Season 8. We've already scheduled some great interviews with guests from Craft 42 Roasters up in Canada and Roastar Coffee Packaging Company that's actually from my hometown in central Wisconsin. I'll be joining Roastar for some live afternoon podcasting events at next month's Specialty Coffee Association convention in Portland, Oregon. If you're headed that way, please reach out. I'd love to connect with you, give you one of those Coffee Smarter stickers, and maybe even get you on this show for a few minutes. This episode of the Coffee People Podcast, presented by Roast West Coast, has been written, produced, and recorded, as always, by me, Ryan Wolt. I hope this episode has found you happy, healthy, and with at least enough sanity to make it through the day. Always tip your baristas, and be sure to drink good coffee. Sorry about that.
No
Stop
worries.
Yeah, he decided to make his voice heard.
Yeah.
All good.